Her speaker admits to being a very crooked person most of her life. She has been trying to straighten herself out for most of a decade. Recently, she has been researching the history and philosophy of one of her favorite allies. She wants to share with you the basics of her success thus far and hopes to persuade you to join her in this magnificent non-medical approach to long-term health and wellness. Karen Palmer is using the Competent Communication Project, Getting Comfortable with Visual Aids, to present an 8 to 10 minute speech titled Crooked Karen and Her Chiropractic Care.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Before you, you have an image of the ideal spine. If you'll note the spine on the right, how symmetrical and straight it is. The one on the other side is a side view of the natural curves that are supposed to be found in a spine. This is the ideal. Unfortunately, not all of us have the ideal spine, and I am one of those people. We can try for it though, and we have an ally on our side, and that is chiropractic care. I'm going to talk about that today and hopefully convince you all to join me in learning more about chiropractic and considering that for your own health and wellness. Now that you've seen the ideal, I want to show you my spine, which is not ideal. Can you see that, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the curve that you would see if you could see right through me as I face you today. This is a pretty heavy curve. This is called scoliosis. It has two curves, which in S shape. This is not a very healthy way to be. Also, if you look more closely down here, you'll see that the lumbar spine, in my case, the vertebrae are twisted on their axis, so they're turned this way in addition to having a curve this way. You might remember the Reach for the Stars speech I did for the contest? Yeah, this is why I'm crooked. So this is not the ideal spine. When you have a spine that has any kind of curves or misalignments in it, we call it a subluxation, a vertebral subluxation. In my case, this is a disease, we call it dis-ease of scoliosis. And here's another lexicology word for you today, vertebral subluxation. It's a fancy word for misalignment. This is just a little model of an ideal vertebrae, a joint between two vertebrae. They're nicely cushioned between the two. They have nerves emanating, and in a real body you would see lots more nerves branching out into smaller links. The spinal cord is protected by the vertebrae. In an ideal, symmetrical, perfectly straight spine, this allows those nerves and the whole nervous system to function properly. We need this spinal column to protect our spine or our spinal cord, because our system relies on that nervous system to function properly. All of our nerves need communication between the brain and the body for us to function properly. All those systems rely on that. It's basically the highway that all those messages travel on. If we have a subluxation and those nerves are impinged upon, those nerves cannot transmit their signals properly. If you have a dimmer switch on a light bulb at home, you might consider that an impingement on a nerve can still get a signal through, but it might be sort of dimmed. And that's what a subluxation is. In my case, those subluxations that I have cause a variety of symptoms. And this includes pain like a dull ache. It can be a really sharp pain. It can be twinges and twitches. It can be a fine vibration that feels like an intense itch. And last year after I rode for the Century ride, I had a spot behind my shoulder blade that felt like I had a little pressure on it every day, all the time. And it created an irritation that was really powerful. So those are some of the symptoms you can have, but some of the other symptoms we can have might not notice as a result of subluxations. Those can include digestive system issues, skin irritations, mental problems, hormonal imbalance, any system that you can imagine that your body relies upon, including those systems that help us to protect and heal ourselves, rely on that nerve to be clear and full. And when you have a subluxation, it doesn't happen that way. So our body can't heal itself like it was designed to do. And sometimes this leads to illnesses or symptoms of illness. Typically what we try to do is deal with the symptoms with drugs that can be quite risky and sometimes surgery. In my case, I'm turning away from that. I want to give you another example of someone who has suffered from subluxations because it'll help you think about the extensive nature of this. Most of you, probably all of you, have met my little dog Lucy. Well, Lucy has chiropractic care too. A couple of years ago when Lucy was about 10 years old, she suddenly wet herself on the couch as she lay beside me. And it shocked me. She'd never done this before, and it shocked her too. But at the same time, I noticed that her hind leg was kind of being held funny sometimes. She wasn't really limping on it. She would just kind of hold it funny. I called up my vet. I have a holistic vet who does chiropractic for my dogs. Took Lucy in. Her pelvis was out of alignment. We fixed that with 1 or 2 visits, and we didn't have a problem again for about another year. I noticed the leg starting to limp, but sure enough, she had 1 accident. Again, with the chiropractic adjustment, those vertebrae got back in alignment and the symptoms went away. Now, how many of us might consider euthanizing a 10 to 12-year-old dog for incontinence symptoms? How many children and adults have to wear some form of protection, adult diapers or even children's diapers, thinking that their incontinence is caused by mental problems or degeneration of other illnesses, when it could be a simple subluxation, as in Lucy's case? How many people take drugs for those things that they don't need to take and put themselves in so much other risk? Have you ever felt a pain or had an illness that could have perhaps been helped with chiropractic care? In my case, I know I have. So that's why I'm a big advocate of it. So what about me? What about my case? In my case, chiropractic can help me, and I'm going to prove that. This is my neck from 4 years ago. The x-ray you just saw was from 4 years ago. If you note how straight it is here, this is not the ideal. If I continue to live this way, the vertebrae there would end up looking a little less like this and a little more like this, with a lot of degeneration around the areas where those joints meet, and of course the spinal cord being damaged. So I didn't want this. And what I found out through an x-ray that was taken 3 months ago, I've got a natural curve in my neck now. I have to worry less about that degeneration and less about the pain that would cause me over the next few decades of my life. That's huge for me. And by the way, those are arms. Just knew that somebody would have to know about that. Okay, so it may be hard for you all to see. This upper curve was at 35 degrees when I started chiropractic care. Here, 3 months ago, 7 years into care, it's 24 degrees. I have, in the last 4 years, had a decrease of 11 of those 15 degrees. What if I stopped 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I wouldn't have seen all these changes, so I know it's very important to stick with it. This curve down here has changed 6 degrees. And by the way, I believe that what caused my scoliosis was an injury. For most of my life, I thought it was genetic. I thought I got it from my mother, and my mother thought she passed it on to me. How much guilt she lived with over those years that I couldn't alleviate. And it was all wrong, I think. As I've learned more about chiropractic now, I believe that it was caused by a fall that I had before adolescence and before my growth spurt. I landed on my hip. And as I've learned from a bike accident last year, I can tell you more about that later if you like. If you have a shift in your pelvis, as I probably did, it probably causes curve down here. And remember I talked about the body is trying to heal itself? The only way it knew how to heal itself the body will try to heal itself, but it needs help. What is chiropractic, though? What is it? How does it work? Chiropractic literally means hand practice. Chiropractors can use lots of different tools, but the most common and their favorite tool is their hands. It's very simple and yet one of the most complex designs in nature. So all they do is try to put these vertebrae back in alignment. Just a gentle adjustment can help alleviate symptoms. Just one adjustment, as in the case of my dog. For me, this is going to take years. And it takes that long with a case like mine because my body thinks this is normal. All my tendons, all my ligaments, and all my muscles think that this is the way I'm supposed to be. So I have to keep going back to do small adjustments to help them learn that, okay, there's a better way. We can be healthier. And if I stopped 4 years ago, I wouldn't see the changes that I've seen now. 11 of those 15 degrees over 4 years. I go on a regular basis at least once a week, but you can go less often if you don't have as many problems. From birth on up, chiropractic is important. For me, this is a lifetime thing. I plan to do this for the rest of my life. Doctors Helena and Brent Beacom in Whitehall are my chiropractic doctors. And I hope I can stick around with them for a long time because I trust them immensely. I trust them because I don't have to use drugs that are risky. I don't have to use surgery that it comes with risk either. I know it's benefited me. I know it benefits my dogs. They do it for horses too, by the way. What about in your life? Could you benefit from chiropractic? I know you can. If you want to learn more, I have brought a set of brochures that have a variety of information about scoliosis or about your first adjustment or about chiropractic. I brought some business cards for my doctors, and the reason I did that is because at least once or twice a month they do free demonstrations so you can learn more about the same kind of things I was talking about. And if you like a more entertaining way, Gary, I know you like to read a lot. Chicken Soup has a Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul book. It's got lots of stories, basically a lot of entertaining testimonials. If you want to know more, of course, you've got me, a walking, talking testimonial. I want you to have chiropractic too. I may be crooked, but I'm not spineless.